Welcome back to the channel. I'm Trevor with Maker Experiment, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how I create my own custom packaging that is form fit to my product so that it stands out to my customers. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to do is actually show you how I used to package my signs, which, to be honest, was not the best presentation. But I want to show you basically where I started at and then move into where I am now and show you the huge difference that just a few tweaks makes to your product packaging and how that will look to your end customer. First, let's break out the craft paper and bubble wrap, and I will show you how I used to package my signs like this one. All right, so first I used to take the sign and I would grab my roll of craft paper. I would roll it out onto the table, like so. So I'd make sure the paper covered it. Then I'd go ahead and cut off some of that paper. And then I would just wrap it up like so. And then fold in the ends. So from here, I would take some tape, just join it together. Then I would fold in the sides. And with circular shapes, it was not always easy. So I'd fold in the sides, tape those up. And that would be my starting point. So I would wrap it in paper so that bubble wrap would not stick to the paint or the acrylic or anything else if it tends to get hot in the delivery trucks. From here, I'd grab my bubble wrap, do the same thing. I would then wrap it up and continue rolling it. And I would basically roll it until I couldn't really feel the features of the sign anymore, because that to me meant that it was well protected. From here, I would cut the bubble wrap. So I would take it, put a piece of tape, and then basically go around the corners and tape it where I needed to. So then I'd end up with something like this, which, let's be honest, looks terrible. So then I'd grab a box that fit the sign. I'd lay it in like this, and then I would take more craft paper and shove it into the gaps all the way around. So this is how it would look when my sign arrived to a customer. It would have brown paper anywhere there was a gap to help protect it, and then there would be the bubble wrap mass of a sign. So this is what I used to do. I think we can all agree that the way I used to do this is terrible. It looks awful. It isn't going to stand out to a customer. It doesn't scream quality. Even if the sign is fantastic, the way I packaged it never stood out, and it never made it seem like you were getting a great product. But also keep in mind, this is about the cheapest way to do this. Craft paper is super cheap, bubble wrap is super cheap, and it's the most economical way to package things, and that's why I started that way. So fast forward to now, in this past few months, I've actually transitioned completely on how I package my signs. I'm going for a much more high-end look to the packaging and more custom feel to the packaging, which also comes with a higher cost. So I'm not suggesting everybody do this, but you will see here in a few minutes how much of a change it makes going from bubble wrap and craft paper to what I'm doing now. With that in mind, I'm going to show you what I do now. But first, let me unpackage this massive bubble wrap. Now that the sign is ready to be packaged properly, I'm actually going to be starting with the same box for packaging. So instead of bubble wrapping everything together and then putting it in the box, I actually need to start with the box, and I'm going to take measurements of the inside. For this process, instead of using bubble wrap and craft paper, I'm actually going to be using polyethylene foam that I can custom cut either with a knife or with a laser. So you don't need to have a laser to use this. You can do it all with a utility knife. It cuts pretty well. And actually, I will cut the main shape to fill the whole box with utility knife to show you that it is possible. So first I'm gonna grab a tape measure and get some dimensions. All right, so what I'm gonna do is first measure the width, and I usually go to the inside of the box, and it's right at 24 inches. So I'm gonna need a piece of foam that is 24 inches wide, and this dimension is about 18.5. So what I need to do is cut a piece of foam that is 18.5 by 24. I'm actually going to need 3 pieces. I need a base layer, a layer that's going to have the sign cut out, and then a top layer to protect all of that. Let's start out by cutting the 3 pieces of foam. All right, so here is my piece of foam. This is 1/2 inch thick polyethylene foam. I will drop a link in the description for where I got this from, but I'm going to come up to the edge and measure 18.5. And I'm just gonna put a mark with the knife. Then I'm going to come down further and do the same thing again. So once I have that, I can actually use my ruler as the guide for cutting it. And I'm gonna run this in multiple passes. Once you have the first part cut, you will see that it will bend and have that mark to it. So I'm just gonna keep following that mark with slow passes until it separates. Until I get something like this. Now that I have the first piece cut, I'm just going to take my box and make sure it fits. And it fits perfectly. So this piece is exactly what I needed. So now I need to make 2 more this size. For that, what I do is I basically take the one I already cut and I'm going to line it up and cut the rest. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and I'll be back in a minute. Now I have 3 pieces of foam that are custom cut to the size of this box. The first one is going to be the base layer that the sign is going to sit on. The middle one is going to be cut out to fit the sign exactly. And then the top cover that is going to protect it while it's in shipping. So the next thing I need to do is actually cut the middle one to the shape of the sign. So in this case, I have the sign. What I need to do is custom cut to this shape. Now, personally, because I have a laser cutter, I use the laser to cut this shape so that it's as accurate as possible and as clean as possible. If you don't have a laser, you can use the utility knife just like I did to cut the sheets to get your shape. Now with complex shapes, this may take a while, but it will pay off in the end. I'm going to go over to the laser and cut out that middle piece, and then I will package it all together. Now that I've laser cut the foam, I go ahead and put in the base layer. Then I'll put in the cut layer. And here is where I insert the sign. So I go ahead and put that into the custom cut spot. And then I will cover it with another piece, just like that. So this will protect the sign the whole time. What I'll end up doing is I will cut the corners of the box so they fold over farther and tape this all up. But the first thing I want to do is make this stand out even more. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually take this top piece and I'm going to paint my logo onto it. I've already made a stencil for that in the past, so let's go paint it. Once everything is painted and ready, I go ahead and stick my business card and sticker on the foam layer. And then I put the top on, and then all I do is fit the top by cutting those corners like I mentioned before. I'll package this up like so, and then once the client gets it, all they have to do is unpackage it, and immediately, just by lifting off the top layer, they immediately see their sign. It's packaged well. Overall, this gives me a much better look and clean, professional look than bubble wrap and paper ever did. That is how I create my own custom packaging that is form fit to my product. Now you can do this with a lot of other products, depending on the size and what it is. You can use polyethylene foam. You can also use cardstock to create your own packaging if it's something that's getting boxed up. Pretty much your imagination is your limitation when it comes to how you package this, how it looks, and everything in between. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and it's been helpful. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up, and if you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you know when I come out with new videos. And be sure to check out my Instagram where I share things like this along the way. But I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.